Hello students, I am Dr. Saliha Jamal, Faculty Department of Geography from Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. Welcome to today's class. I am here with the course Climate Change, Vulnerability and Adaptation. And today's topic of discussion is Resource Sustainability, Ensuring a Future for Generations. As we have completed what are resources, the types of resources, and some of the resources are having the limited stock, while still through the innovations and technological development, we can even innovate alternative resources. So these things we have talked about. Today we are going to discuss about the resource sustainability, why it is so important to maintain resource sustainability, and what are the challenges we are facing during the process of resource sustainability. So let us start today's class. While defining resource sustainability, sustainability means that is continuing anything for long. So if we're talking about the resource means that certain material element which performs certain operation functions in order to fulfill the human needs and desire, that can be called as resource. So when we talk about resource sustainability means continuing the resources for long. Why it is necessary to continue or to maintain the resource availability for longer time? That is, what we are enjoying today, what we are using today, that has to be enjoyed by our future generations. That's why resource sustainability is defined as a practice of managing and using the natural resources in a way that ensure that they are available for future generations. Why I am talking here about the natural resources means managing natural resources, because all of the resources, even we can say human made resources, they are derived from by using the natural resources. So if we are going to manage these natural resources, it is very much obvious that human resources or human generated resources will be managed. And we know because certain natural resources, they are in limited stock. If once they are finished or depleted, then it cannot be recharged back. So there is necessity to maintain the sustainability of these natural resources. For example, we may talk about the water resource, soil, energy, forest, various types of minerals, biodiversity. These are all natural resources which are derived from our environment, from the nature itself, and it is very much important to continue even the economic sustainability uh, by maintaining the availability of the natural resources. Actually, the resource sustainability practices that emphasizes over the efficient use of resources means we have to use resources very much efficiently and rationally. We must not waste it. It also emphasizes to prevent the resource depletion in order to maintain the ecological balance. We know everything present on this earth has a certain function, and one or the other way it is connected to the other functions. So if one thing is disturbed, then it will impact the other things which are connected, or we can say impacted by it. That's why resource sustainability also aims to prevent the resource depletion in order to maintain the ecological balance. We know that resources are also the integral part of the economic development, and our economy itself depend upon the availability of the resources. So maintaining its availability for sustaining the economy also is one of the important aim of the resource sustainability. And resource sustainability is also one of the, we can say, connect having the connections, or we may say resource sustainability aligns to sustainable development goals. So it is important to maintain the resource sustainability because our sustainable development goals can be achieved through this very practice. You can see here how the resource future generations understanding about the earth. This diagram explains well defined how people, technology, and we can say the indigenous knowledge about the regions all impacts the sustainability of the resources. So as a resource, we also count the human capital, human beings. So we know that people, they have the knowledge about their resources which are present in the particular region. They have the interaction with the resources in a manner that it can be conserved, preserved, or it can be enhanced. They even have the experiences of weather, of various, we can say, climate change events which they are exposed to. So their knowledge about their region, about their resources, and we can say the experiences which they have about their resources, that can help a lot to maintain their landscape, their own environment, and overall we can say the climate of this planet earth, which will lead to the sustainability. That's why we are talking about the indigenous people knowledge, we can say. And overall we are having the civil society, one of the we can say aware and knowledgeable skilled society, urban youth, rural. All these can, we can say, is a type of a capital resource which can manage the sustainability of the resources by managing their own landscape, environment, and overall we can say climate of the place, which enhances the sustainability processes. Another thing which becomes very important is the innovations and the new technology adaptation, because through this we can have certain methods and practices for conserving resources, for preserving resources. Not only this, through the technological advancements and innovations, we can increase even the efficiency of the resources so that it may run for a long time. And through the technologies we can even we can explore various methods through which the resources can be recycled and it can be reused. So overall this, we can say, new technology helps in maintaining the resource sustainability. So why the resource sustainability is very much important. Nowadays we are talking about the sustainable development. We know, if you remember student, I have talked about when we started the concept of development, it only meant for the economic development. Means economically developed regions can be regarded as one of the developmental process. But with the time, it was felt that different nations which were in the race of economic development, they have used their resources recklessly and without thinking the repercussions that what we are going to face in future. And by seeing its repercussion, the ill impact of reckless utilization over exploitation of the resources, they started to think about the economic development by maintaining the ecological balance. We started to think about the nature, we started to think about the natural resources, that its reckless use should be reduced, either it should be stopped. Even they started to think about the ecological balance by using the alternate sources of different resources. Like if we talk about the fossil fuels, then alternate sources can be the energy which is derived from the solar power, or we can say wind power, etc. So thus the concept of development changed towards the economic development by maintaining the ecological balance. Later, it was thought that the rate at which we are using many of the natural resources which are having the limited stock, they will get finished, they will deplete it totally in near future. So with this concept, the concept of sustainability started, that the resources should be sustained for long. So in order to that it should be used by our future generations. That's why the concept of resource sustainability became very much important. If we discuss here point by point why it is very much important, so here I have taken few major points like for the preservation purpose, it becomes very important to have the concept of resource sustainability because natural resources we know they are very much limited in this stock. So preserving natural resource will ensure that resources like we are talking about soil, water or the fossil fuels that will be will remain available for the future generations, and this will support long-term ecological balance also. That's why preserving natural resources becomes very much important. Even the resource sustainability also supports economic stability because various economic functions that depends upon the availability of the resources. These natural resources, they act as the raw material to the industrial and the commercial sector. So by maintaining the resource sustainability, it will support economic stability and it will help to maintain even the stable market because many times shortages leads to high price rise and it also leads to scarcity of the raw materials. So resource sustainability will also ensure the stable market, stable production and long-term economic growth by preserving various essential natural resources. Resource sustainability also promotes environmental health because during the sustainability process, we think about reducing the use of the resources, increasing its efficiency so that its use may be reduced. We think of cutting the pollution, wastage. So these all things will promote the environment health by reducing the pollution, by minimizing the environmental degradation and even by mitigating the climate change impacts. Thus, it will create a healthier environment for all the living beings. Even the resource sustainability also addresses the resource scarcity because in resource sustainability, we think about the conservation, preservation, even increasing the efficiency of the resources. Even we think about growing or innovating some alternative resources. Mainly, we can say we focus on renewable resources which reduces the over dependence on the finite or we can say limited resources and it enhances the potential for the future economic stability. So it addresses the resource scarcity also. Not only this, we already talked about that resource sustainability is aligned with the global sustainable goals. That's why it plays a very important role in achieving the sustainable development goals by promoting a responsible consumption pattern. Means our consumption patterns somehow with the awareness about the ill impact of the resource scarcity, awareness about the climate change impacting our resources, the consumption patterns gets changed. We usually start to think about eco-friendly products, recycling the various materials, reusing. We generally start thinking about the refurbished material, etc. So this alignment with the sustainable development goals promotes responsible consumption, it improves the health and overall it supports sustainable cities and even the communities. It also encourages the innovation and the efficiency. I have said that even in resource sustainability, we encourage the alternative use of the resources. It can be derived through the innovations or technological development and these practices of using the alternative resources that will reduce the waste and it will improve the resource efficiency. Even it will benefit both business as well as the communities also. Thus, the resource sustainability, it can be said that encourages innovations and the efficiency. Not only this, it even enhances the quality of the life because we talked about it improves the environmental health by cutting the wastages, by reducing the harmful and toxic emissions to the atmosphere. So, it supports clean air, water, land, and various sustainable initiatives which contribute to healthier living standards. That's why it can be said that resource sustainability also enhances the quality of life. And the very most important thing here is it also play a very critical role in mitigation with the climate change, because here we are thinking about shifting from the non-renewable to the renewable resources, just like in energy sector from fossil fuels to wind derived energy, solar power derived energy, which will reduce the greenhouse gas emission and it will slow climate change progression by mainly focusing on sustainable agricultural practices, industrial practices, and even the energy practices. So, it plays a very important role in mitigating with the climate change. So, whatever I talked about, now you must be very much clear why in this era in which we are living, the resource sustainability play a very important role. Some of the resources which are being exploited and used in such a way that it cannot be recharged at same rate at which we are using, and if it is possible for them to recharge, it will even take million of years like fossil fuels. So, we have to see for some alternative sources, some innovation, some technological advancement that this resource should run for the long that even we can use and even our future generations can be used. So, if we talk about, there are four pillars of the sustainability. When we talk about resource sustainability and sustainability, we generally focus on these four pillars of sustainability, but because one or the other way, if we integrate all these four pillars, then easily we can proceed towards the sustainability. For example, if we talk about these four pillars, one is human sustainability, social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability. We know human are themselves, they are very important resource. Why? Because from natural, even they human being themselves identify certain material as a resource, because if the material or anything, we don't know the use of those material or the function of such things, then it cannot be called as resource. So we as a human being used to identify what are the functions, what are the operations of certain things which are present on this earth. So we ourselves are a very much important resource. And even if we talk with regard to the human capital, the size of the human capital means we are talking about in number, the quality of the human capital, whether it is knowledgeable, educated, we are having the skilled human capital or not, that play a very important role in human sustainability. Human sustainability mainly focuses on the human capital by prioritizing the investment in health sector, education sector, skills to ensure the long-term societal well-being, because a well-aware, educated and skilled human capital can help a lot in even developing overall sustainability of this planet Earth. The human sustainability also focuses on promoting equality and social inclusion by reducing the inequality and by enhancing the quality of life of all the people, means including the most vulnerable communities, the regions, all together in the developmental processes. It supports the workforce development. Now we are talking a lot about green jobs as we are shifting from the, we can say, non-renewable resources to the renewable resources. By having the capacity building, skill development, we can create lot of green job, and thus that it can this creation of green job shifting towards non-renewable to renewable resources that can support a great number of workforce. It can enhance the productivity and the social stability by providing the training and resources to meet the societal needs. Thus, human sustainability is one of the very important pillar of sustainability. Talking about another very important pillar of sustainability is the social sustainability. When we talk about the second pillar of sustainability, that is social sustainability, the various aspect has to be taken in inclusion, whether the education, whether the health, we can say, or dealing with the poverty, dealing with the inequality, injustice, etc. Actually, the social sustainability tries to build strong communities. And how it can build strong community? By encouraging the community development, by encouraging the social cohesions through the shared values, knowledge, goals, etc., among which we can say the most common and important shared values and goals are the sustainable development goals that we are sharing with all in inclusion. Even social sustainability promotes social equity, means what section, which sector of the economy, which section of the society, which regions of the world, they need what, means who need what. Because if we try for creating equality, it will not be possible, because some section, vulnerable section, communities, nation, they need more than the developed one. That's why equity, social sustainability focuses on equity, in which it tries to meet what, who needs what. This is the focal aspect of the equity. So it promotes social equity by striving to protect rights, ensure equal access to opportunities, even equal access to the certain resources, etc. Social sustainability also encourages social responsibility by acknowledging the interdependence of the communities, cultures, and global society, and also by emphasizing the ethical actions. Thus, it becomes one of the very important pillar for creating sustainability. Third most important pillar of sustainability is the economic sustainability. Economic sustainability is needed by the societies and the communities for long-term economic growth, because economic growth impact the other aspects. If we see the education, health, etc., in directly or indirectly. Overall, it also impacts the per capita income and standard of living also. That's why economic sustainability becomes a very important pillar of the sustainability, which ensures the long-term economic growth by promoting efficient resource use, sustainable economic practices for continuing the prosperity. It also promotes the financial security by balancing the profitability with ethical resource management in order to sustain the businesses and the other economies. It balances the profitability with ethical resource management. We have talked a lot about the certain sustainable practices which can lead towards the sustainability, like in agriculture sector. We have talked about the irrigation, sustainable practice, drip irrigation, we can say, or even we can say sprinkler irrigation. We have also talked about the drought resistant crops in the drier areas. Similarly, in the other sectors, if we are talking about sea level rise, storm surges, hurricanes, even we can say if we are talking about the deforestation, by maintaining these ecosystem also, we can also proceed towards the resource management, which can sustain the business and economies. Not only this, overall economic sustainability that also promotes the sustainable development by advocating the economic models that do not comprise for the future generations, because whenever we will talk about the sustainable development, we will talk about the future generations. So economic sustainability also focuses on sustainable development, which advocates for economic models that do not compromise with the future generations. The fourth and the last important pillar of sustainability is the environmental sustainability. We are greatly exposed to our environment. When we define environment, one very important definition that comes is whatever surrounds us, excluding ourselves, excluding the individual, that makes our environment. So, if we are not going to protect this environment, if this environment gets deteriorated, that we will be also impacted through it. So, thus the environmental sustainability focuses to protect the natural capitals, means the natural resources which are present in our environment, like conserving the various ecosystem, whether we talk about the green ecosystem, whether we talk about the blue ecosystem, by conserving the biodiversity and the various other natural resources for the future generations. So, it actually focuses on protecting our natural resources. Not only this, it also reduces the environmental impact, because during these sustainability practices, we focus on pollution reduction, reducing the waste through the waste management, and also responsible resource extraction through the efficient use, or by we can say if we increasing the efficiency of the resources. So environmental sustainability thus reduces the environmental impact. Not only this, it also supports the renewable resources of energy or various other renewable resources by prioritizing the renewable use of the energy sources and by the sustainable materials in order to minimize the ecological harm. One of the very important example is shift from the fossil fuels to the more greener and cleaner source of energy. That may be the solar energy, that may be the wind energy, etc. So, after talking about these four pillars of sustainability, which can play a very important role in managing the resource sustainability, here we will talk about the components of resource sustainability. What are the major components? To which sector, to which component we have to focus in order to maintain the resource sustainability? Let us talk. We talk about the conservation, renewable resource use, efficiency, regeneration. Means if we are talking about the conservation, or we can say protection, it means what we are having today, that is to be conserved, that is to be maintained, that is to be preserved. But even if when we talk about the resource sustainability, it also encompasses the concept of efficiency, regeneration and renewable resource use with the concept of the conservation. I have said conservation and protection means what we are having today, that is to be conserved and that is to be protected. But in resource sustainability, having the concept of efficiency means we are going to increase the efficiency of the resources, so its use can be reduced. We talk about the regeneration and renewable resources, means it also explores resource sustainability aspect concept, also explores various means and methods to have the alternative resources, the resources which are either on the verge of depletion, or we can say which are being depleted at a very faster rate. The sustainability concept explores the use of the alternative resources, increasing the efficiency of the resources, or we even talk about recycling, regeneration, refurbish concept, etc. So, these components become very much important. Another few of the components which are very much important and we have to look after them is the pollution control, because when we reduce the pollutants which is released in the atmosphere, in the environment from the various sources, maybe from the industries, agriculture, urban areas, these degrades the resources and even harm the ecosystem. So looking into, by reducing the pollution or by controlling the pollution, we can add many things towards the resource sustainability. Even we have to work for the sustainable resource management, which encompasses the responsible planning, regulation, policies regarding the resource use, which will ensure fair access and preservation for the future generations. Not only this, here we also very important thing, talk about the circular economy. Circular economy talks about reusing the resources, recycling the resources and refurbishing the materials. Why we are talking about reusing, recycling, refurbishing? In order to extend the resource life, which will reduce the resource use or even reduce the dependence on the new resource extraction. That's why these components become very much important. When we talk about the components which has to be focused in order to maintain their resource sustainability, it can be compiled under three major heads: economic components, ecological component and the human component. Let us talk about the economic component. We know that this component which increases the efficiency of the resource use, and if the efficiency of the resource use is maintained, as we know, these natural resources are the integral part of our economy. Thus, it will maintain the economic stability and the growth. Not only this, economic components also addresses socio-economic well-being by alleviating poverty, by enhancing equal access to various opportunities, resources. So, it will play a very important role. Even it emphasizes on the sustainable industrial growth without depleting and harming the environment, and overall it balances the financial security. So, another ecological component, because we have grouped all the components under the major three heads we talked about, like economic component, ecological component and we can say human component. Talking about the ecological component, actually it consists of the three main important environmental functions. First one is the power function, that is the ability of the resources to support the human activities. We know most of our human activities is dependent upon the availability of the natural resources, because water, if we talk about the water scarcity, the fossil fuel scarcity, it will impact human activities a lot. The second most important environmental function is waste receptor function, which means the environment ability to absorb waste, because environment has a limited ability to absorb the waste. If this ability exceeds, if the waste exceeds this ability, certainly we will see certain ill impacts, or we can say repercussions. The third important environmental function is direct utility. The resource immediate benefits to the human being. For example, the water resource, what are the immediate we can say benefit we are getting from the water? The soil, immediate benefit we are getting from the soil. So overall, this ecological component aims to preserve all the non-renewable and renewable resources. Means by preserving the renewable resources and managing the non-renewable ones, the sustainability can be achieved. This resource sustainability concepts supports the United Nations goals for future generations to live in harmony with the nature. Talking about the human component, that focuses on the social well-being, relationships and even overall we can say individual behavior. We know when we talk about the human concepts, various social concepts can be included in these human concept, with the concept of the education, health promotion, poverty reduction, and which can enhance a better we can say standard of living. All can be included under the human component. Actually, this human component aims to create a stable and inclusive community that can mitigate with various prejudices. And also we know this human components aligns with the sustainable development goal, whether we talk about the health, whether we talk about the poverty eradication, or even we are talking about managing the population growth mainly in the developing countries. So all these things are mainly aligned with the sustainable development goals. That's why human component becomes very much important while having the resource sustainability. But still, we see that during the process of resource sustainability, we are facing various resource challenges. So here we are going to talk about some of the current resource challenges and pressures that we generally face in resource sustainability. We are facing the over exploitation of the resources because we are in the race for the economic development, and economic, as we know, the economy is very much dependent upon the natural resources, so for which it is over exploited. Excessive use of resource like fossil fuels, water, forest, these all things are leading rapid depletion and scarcity of the various natural resources. So this is one of the major challenge we are facing. Even the climate change impact, the ongoing, we are living in the era of climate change, the ongoing climate change with having the repercussions like rise in sea level, rise in extreme weather events, rising temperature. These are all affecting the resources supplies, like water supply we are facing in various region. Drought conditions, we are seeing various regions are being flooded. Even this climate change is impacting the agriculture, biodiversity. So climate change is also one of the very much important challenge we are facing in resource sustainability. Another important challenge is pollution and environmental degradation. We know air, water, soil pollution from the various sources like industries, agriculture, urban activities. They are all degrading the natural ecosystem. So this is also one of the challenge. Overall, we can say population growth, one or the other way, is also is also a challenge in resource sustainability, because we know population is growing and demands are increasing. Even we are seeing urbanization also, because it is predicted in the coming years more number of people will be living in the urban areas as compared to the rural areas. So increasing demand for the resources due to the population growth and urban expansion, that strains the availability of the resources, and even it intensifies the competitions also. We have observed the loss of biodiversity also, which is also a great challenge, because habitat destruction, pollution, climate change, this all lead to decline in the species, affecting ecosystem resilience and the resource availability. Talking about the waste generation and inefficiency, we know high levels of the waste from the different sources that results in resource inefficiency, water scarcity, soil degradation, limited, we know that we are having the limited freshwater resources, and which are under pressure due to the population increase, due to its overuse mainly in the industrial and the irrigation sector, pollution and the climate change. This all impacts the availability of the water resource. Not only this, unsustainable practices, agricultural practices, deforestation, this all leads to the soil erosion and soil degradation, impacting the food production. This is also one of the major challenge. Uh, we have talked a lot about the non-renewable resources. Particularly in them, we have talked about the fossil fuels. So dependence upon the non-renewable resources is also one of the major challenge. Although we are developing the alternative sources of energy in terms of the wind power, solar power, but still a heavy reliance can be seen on non-renewable energy sources like oil, coal, natural gas. This all leads to long-term energy insecurity. Even we can say, throughout whatever we talk about the certain challenges, and what is the rate of resource depletion, which are the resources which are at risk, the awareness and education about these things is very much necessary, because limited understanding regarding the sustainability practices among the public, among the industrialists, entrepreneurs, reduces the adoption of resource efficient practices, which becomes very much important. We have also seen a major challenge as technological limitation. We know that technology leads to resource efficiency, development of alternative resources. So if there is technological limitations, that will restrict the resource sustainability. We know various regions, especially the developed region, they are having a good access to technology, while many of the regions it is not feasible for many of the regions. So technological limitation is also one of the very important challenges. Talking about the political and regulatory challenges, weak environmental policies, laws, along with inadequate enforcement, that also hinders the progress towards the sustainable resources. We are taking it lightly. That's why not devising the strict policies and laws. This also becomes a very important challenges. Even if we talk about the inequitable access to resources, some of the regions have more access to the resources. If we compare it with some of the other regions, many of the regions have resources, but they do not possess technology to exploit them, to use them efficiently. Thus, this is one of the very important challenge which various regions are facing. Overall, resistance to change. We are very much resistant to change when we are talking about shifting towards the cleaner technology. When we are talking about the sustainable practices, we are resisting the change. This mainly the industries and we as an individual may resist to change, to establish practices due to the convenience, many times due to the cost, and many times due to the lack of incentives. We generally do not adopt the sustainable practices. This is also one of the very much important challenge. So overall, it can be said, when we started talking about the resource sustainability, which means that resource sustainability, which ensures the natural resources are available for the future generations while meeting the current needs. We talked about here economic sustainability, ecological sustainability, and human sustainability. If we are going to focus on this sector, overall resource sustainability can be managed. As we know, the sustainable development integrates economic, ecological, and human components for the balanced growth and resilience, which become very much important for resource sustainability. So overall, it can be said achieving resource sustainability is very much essential for long-term stability and meeting the global sustainability goals. So that's all for today's lecture, student. Have a nice day. Thank you.